Welcome to the Happiest Hour. Welcome to the Happiest Hour. I'm so happy you're here. We're in a new week. We're back to it. Maybe you're watching from Northern California, like my cousin Dustin. Maybe you're getting released soon on out of quarantine. I think Northern California's coming out. LA County, 12 more weeks. Sorry, Pam Sisson. If you're watching, you're going to be stuck for 12 more weeks. Friend of the shows are out there. Andrew Lawson, of course, our number one fan. I hope you're doing well. I'm drinking over here a concoction of my own making. It's some scotch, some soda, some other stuff. And as always, the strongest drink we can take is my co-producer and host, Lancey Joe. Welcome to the Happiest Hour. Welcome back to your own show.
Hi, Brendon.
Hi, Brendon. Happy to be here.
Brendon, we are experiencing a little technical difficulties here in the studio.
Can you hear me okay? You got me?
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm all right. I'm having an interesting Tuesday, interesting start to the week. It's been a weird. The weather in the Midwest has left something to be desired. If you're watching from other parts of the country, well, what was that? What was that? A pint? You're not drinking a pint. What? Lancey Joe has got that dark nitro coffee. You are wired, sir.
I got released from quarantine on good behavior.
I wore masks, and I didn't try to cough in anyone's face once.
No, I found this cup in the trash, and I put some motor oil in it.
Hell yeah, buddy. You got that solid engine lubricant right there.
Yeah. The weather has left something to be desired. Judging by your outfit, it's 54 degrees here in Chicago.
Yeah, you nailed it. You got it. You got it exactly right. It is cold in the Midwest. It has not been very. By the way, check it out. You can see this room has been cleaned since the last time. You can't see it because you're watching me through Skype, but you guys can see this room has been cleaned since the last time we were here. This weekend was spent doing a lot of chores, actually, cleaning this.
Well, I see you put up I can see the dry erase board back there with the magnets on it.
Oh yeah, this is all this kind of stuff. It's been lying around since the move, and I finally decided to toss it up there. Again, the Happiest Hour. We love to have you here. We're here. We're making jokes, and we're here at 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, and 11:30 GMT.
We're making jokes all day long.
GMT. Well, talk about the project, the 100 jokes that you came up with. I thought it was a great idea.
Oh, so we're gonna try to record something. Brendon and I I'm releasing this. I'll have a press conference later tonight. I've got about probably, they're telling us to social distance, but I've got probably 200 reporters coming over to my apartment later. So I don't know how we're going to do this logistically. My publicist has got a nightmare on his hands. And it's his first week on the job. I go through one publicist about every 10 or 12 minutes.
It's his first half hour on the job.
Yeah.
He's already dropping the ball. It's already not happening, depending on what. This is so ridiculous, man. I'm trying to get this thing right. Well, I think people should tune in to the Lancey Joe on Venmo show if they want to hear about it. I thought it was a cool idea when you brought it up.
I never got to the actual idea. I just started ripping about.
You're such a good hype man that you're just hyping it up.
So the idea is that Brendon and I have got a lot of jokes in savings right now because of the quarantine.
Oh, well, in investments anyway.
Yeah, a lot of mine is tied up in the QQQ, the NASDAQ.
A lot of my jokes are tied up in oil futures.
I'm doing a little bit of currency exchange with my jokes, but they don't go well. Obviously, in France, that my jokes don't go well at all. They don't translate.
Well, the exchange rate's really bad.
Yeah, it's horrible right now.
It's about one joke for 1.6 French jokes.
if someone's actually watching this, they're so frustrated right now because we will not get to what the announcement
What the hell
is.
the project is. And you know what? That's fine. In the world today, that's how you deal with people. By
Yes.
the way, I should say, let's welcome Erna Sophia from Iceland back. #1 fan in Iceland. I appreciate you sharing and subscribing and following the show. Again, my cousin Dustin, who's a fantastic guy. Where you been, man? You been working or what? It's been a minute. And then we should go through, by the way, our sponsors today. Today, the program on my end is sponsored by EcoSmart. EcoSmart light bulbs.
Oh, man, I have some of those. We just bought some. That's why I had Starbucks, because we went to...
You guys went over there? I got to show this to you. I actually broke this bad boy out over the weekend.
Oh, my gosh. Has that not been there the whole time?
Oh, it's been within arm's reach, but... But, you know, it's like out of sight, out of mind. It's like it's over here. It's off to the side. It's screen left.
That is hilarious. I love it. Tell us something wise.
One in the hand is worth one in the bush. I don't know. That's what she said. You never want to always ask her age before you swipe right, my friend. I was thinking of changing one of my dating profiles to it says my age 34, and I'm thinking to changing it to actually 16. just seeing what happens.
Yeah.
Dustin got the plants in. Oh, good job, man. That's good. That's a Gandalf pipe. Yeah, dude, that's a Gandalf pipe. All right. I love that thing. I bought that when I was 16 years old.
Speaking of Gandalf, you know, Gandalf is like the Michael Jordan of wizards. Gandalf is. And actually, he's the Scottie Pippen of wizards, actually, because Michael Jordan is the actual Michael Jordan on the Wizards.
On the Wizards.
Yeah.
Gandalf is the Scottie Pippen of Wizards because he just missed the mark to be having a 10-part ESPN documentary series about him.
Yes. Snape is a wizard, right?
Yeah. Oh, Snape.
Oh, Snape.
Oh, Snape.
Snape is the Scottie Pippen of wizards.
In that he was a defense against the dark arts teacher at your university.
Yeah. Well, he was actually the basketball coach at UNC Wilmington when Jordan was there.
I'll tell you, that's funny. I'll tell you what, I really wish that I could hang out with Charles Barkley. I think that would be so much fun to hang out with Charles Barkley.
It would be a lot better to hang out with him than Jordan because
of the fact that you would have to be sitting at a blackjack table to hang out with Jordan.
you could have that pipe in there.
Hello, Michael Jordan.
It would be like 4 is a bus guard.
Well, I got to tell you, we got a cool guest coming on the show today. My buddy John Corcoran is going to be on. He's an interesting dude. He's involved with a lot of stuff, a lot of like startup stuff, podcasting. He's involved with a whole bunch of. He has a great business called Rise 25 where he helps entrepreneurs sort of start stuff up and going. And he's messaging me right now. He actually is a former speechwriter for Bill Clinton. Pretty cool guy. John Corcoran lives in the Bay Area, and I messaged him. We tried to get him on the show for a couple of weeks because he's such kind of a fun guy. His dad is a stand-up comic, actually, or was a stand-up comic, no longer a stand-up comic. And it's funny because when I connected with John, I talked him into going and taking a stand-up comedy like course.
Nice.
Yeah, and he was like, why the hell did I do this? You literally just got it. I love that Gialou just said, now just when you mentioned the exchange rate, I was thinking of one stock I bought and sold recently, ACB. Gia, what did ACB sell for? Did you make any money on that? Can I tell you something I'm really proud of, Lance? I got into Bitcoin at 9,500, and I got out of Bitcoin at 9,500. I didn't lose any money.
That's a win.
I think so.
In the stock market, I always take the scorched earth approach. You're not catching me. I'll burn all this money.
Yeah, you know what? You could have this money when you pry it out of my cold, burned hands.
You know, they used that in ancient Rome, actually. Spartacus used that for a while.
The stock market? Was it his weapon of choice? Ancient financial terrorist? Spartacus?
This is Bitcoin!
Yeah. You can have your freedom when you pry it from my cold, dead marketplace. I'm Spartacus. My favorite.
Welcome back to ancient Rome. I'm Kai Rizdal, and today Spartacus dropped another 5 points, so that's not good for the overall economy of Rome.
I love National Public Radio so much.
I swear, what's his name? Kai Rizdal with that smooth ass voice could talk me out of my panties for sure.
He's amazing.
I'm telling
you. This is funny. John is messaging me and he's going, I hope I'm not going to be quizzed on the Chicago Metropolitan Transit System. Why would he think that we would get him on this show to be like,
dude,
John,
careful, man.
John, you've had an illustrious career writing speeches for presidents, founding companies that have made entrepreneurs millions of dollars, coached professionals, and you're a lawyer. But the real top question we want to ask is, after which stop going north on the red line can you find great Ethiopian food?
Well, is that the CTA?
Yeah, that's the CTA, the Chicago Metro.
I figured that's it's something else.
I think he thinks it's Chicago MTA, but Chicago MTA, one of my favorite rappers of all time, by the way. I love it. That dude stops periodically. It's amazing.
Well, did you know Chicago the band? You know Chicago they used to be called the CTA, the Chicago Transit Authority.
Didn't. You just make that up?
Yeah. No, that's for real.
Let me tell you, the best thing about the CTA is the CBA, the Chicago Bagel Authority.
Yeah, but I don't like the Chicago Bagel Authority because I was trying to introduce some new bagel laws, and I had to take it before the Chicago Bagel Authority, and they shot me down. I lost a vote by one person.
I lost a vote by one onion bagel.
You remember they used to have the Bill Cosby?
Yeah. We need to, God damn it, John. I need to, they used to have they had a number of bagels, and they had an open mic at that Chicago Bagel Authority. We need to that's what I need to quiz John Corcoran on.
Are you quizzing him right now? You're like, let me send this email real quick.
Let him know we're calling him up in 2 minutes. Yeah, this is longer. This is longer than we've made a guest wait ever, which is just payback because he made us wait first for 3 weeks. John, after Jeremy Miller, you were my first call. I said, who else do I know that could...
Don't play too hard to get. We can't afford to lose this guest.
Admittedly, the funnest episodes of the show that I've had have been the ones where it's just me and you. Where we're just going back and forth about BS. Let's get John on here though. Let's call him
because we don't have the pressure of viewership. What do we do?
We don't gotta. Do you think we got to singing and dancing to entertain you folks? That's the problem. That's the problem. J.H. Corcoran. My favorite thing about John also is that I find this extremely funny. Is that in Europe there is a whole bunch of places called Corcoran's bars, basically, and I think it is so freaking funny.
Go.
Come on, this thing is just being the most ridiculous. How can I add him to this call? This is so frustrating. This might end up becoming a whole other technical issue in the middle of this episode.
Go to settings, create password.
All right, here we go. I might have to call you back in 1 second if this thing drops you. Sorry, buddy. It just ends up being the nature of the beast. And there it goes. I was exactly right. Well, this is what happens when you're a professional.
Oh my gosh.
I know. John Corcoran.
You've been in the woods.
I know. John Corcoran, welcome to the Happiest Hour. I'm going to bring my co-host back on this guy. Here we go. How are you doing, man? It's you're in Pacific time, so it's just about 4 o'clock your time.
It is. It's good to see you, man. But you got to prepare me for something like this. Jesus.
Look at you with a decent haircut and clean shaven. What?
I didn't even. I need a haircut, but not compared to you.
You look
Jeez.
fine. You look like the king. You look like the king of entrepreneurs right now.
It works. It works for Zoom. Look, man, I'm wearing shorts. I just put it on. But yeah, how you doing? Where's Lance?
Lance is he's joining right back on here. We're trying to pop this software that I'm using, Skype and the Ecamm Live is sort of it's a wild west of challenges. So I'm
try StreamYard. Are you streaming this to something?
Oh yeah, we're on Facebook Live right now, buddy.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, I didn't even know. All right, you just said show up at a time. I was like, all right, cool. But yeah, StreamYard works well.
Yeah, we got this Ecamm Live is oh, there we go. Now we got Lance on this call.
Hey Lance, how you doing?
Hey John, good. How are you?
I see. This is a good cop, bad cop kind of thing here between the two of you. Like one's clean cut and the other one's.
Oh, you don't want to let me at you. Where did you bury the money, Johnny?
I don't know if you can play tough. I'm not so sure about that.
You know, I used to do mixed martial arts. I'm a pretty tough guy.
I heard that just listening to one of your other episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, you were listening to the episode of The Madness Continues with John McCombs, right?
I was. Yeah, I was getting a full debriefing on the Chicago Metropolitan Transit system. You guys were going line by line by line. I was like, I get it. It's like watching an episode of ER. You know, it's like I don't get the medical terminology, but I kind of get the flavor of it. You know,
don't get your hand too close to that helicopter. Exactly. That's the only thing I remember about ER is that one guy accidentally gets his arm chopped off in the helicopter.
Ugh.
That's the main takeaway from that show, I think.
It's the thesis. They went 8 seasons on that one idea. John, you're up in California, man. What's the quarantine been like for you, man?
It's been okay. I mean, California was like where I live, the Bay Area was pretty. We were on the bleeding edge of the shelter in place. Like we were the first, like one of the first ones to be like, nope.
That came down and it really that spooked New York pretty hard because we were like, wait a minute, we already got a bunch of positive cases and we're not even doing this.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it was really interesting because we were sheltering in place, and I think at that time your mayors and governors and stuff were like, nah, we'll be fine.
Yeah,
we'll shake it off. But yeah, no, I mean, we were very early on, and I mean, for me, I got 4 young kids. That's the craziest thing is just like dealing with them, homeschooling and all that crap. But I'm actually in my office, which is 5 minutes away from my house. And I've been coming to that mostly as an escape.
Yeah,
so
suddenly you're like, oh, honey, I got to put in like 20 hours a day in here.
Yeah, exactly. My wife she's been a saint. She's mostly been taking care of the kids without any support whatsoever. So it's been a little crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because, like, I was thinking about it myself. Well, you're very lucky because you have an office that you can go to. But I kept thinking, if I had kids in this situation, I think I might actually lose my mind, like just based on how completely it's like I don't know what I would. There's school and they would be running around. But you have young kids, right? Are any of your kids in school right now?
Two of them, yeah. So the two older ones are in school. Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yeah, wow. That audio
better?
is rich.
There we go. Okay, cool.
I wish I could spread that audio across butter. I mean, toast. I always put my toast across butter.
Yes, butter on butter. It sounds delicious. That's pretty much what my kids have eaten for the last 2 months, actually, is butter on butter. Yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty much it's a perfect storm as far as parenting goes, because we've got a 9-year-old who's in 3rd grade. He's okay as far as the schooling goes. They've got iPads, like school iPads that the school distributed when the shelter in place happened. So we had to go to the school, pick up their own iPad. They've been basically learning off of that. So the poor sap family that's like, we were going to keep our kids off of screens until they're 18 years old. Like they've completely lost it, So 9-year-old, a 6-year-old in kindergarten who has about the attention span of a gnat and really needs like someone like right in front of him to like make him actually learn from the iPad. And then we have a 4-year-old and then we have an 18-month-old who are both very demanding of attention. The 4-year-old has watched probably more television on a laptop at this point than I have in my entire lifetime. The poor guy, it'll occupy him. So it's just like he's just like the short stick. It's like, all right, here's your laptop.
Watch to it. Go.
More Paw Patrol. There's more Paw Patrol for you. You watch that, and so and then the 18-month-old, she's innocent and she'll just like play with cups, on the floor or something like that. So my wife is running around trying.
She's already played with cups more than you have in your entire life.
That's true. It's true. Sweet and innocent fun. So yeah, I mean, it's and then it's hard. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, you can't go to a playground. You can't go. The kids can't go to a playground. You can go to open space. Like, you can go to big open fields. Like, that gets really old for kids.
You can go to openspace.com. You can't go to actual field.
It almost feels like we mentioned this. I think we mentioned this maybe at the end of last week, but it almost feels like a little bit like somebody didn't really entirely think through this situation, in the sense that, they closed off all this open. I'm in Chicago right now, and like they closed off all these parks in Chicago. They're like, the mayor, Laura Lightfoot, was like, no way, we're not, and we're taking this seriously. Everybody stay inside, like, don't go out. So they close off all these parks. But what that's effectively done is forced everybody out of the parks where they could have spread out. And
I couldn't agree more. I talk with my wife about this all the time. I think it's insane. So they've shut down beaches. They shut down parks, state parks, national parks, county parks. I mean, I took my kids to a park nearby that we go to all the time, but we haven't been there in 2 months. Just this weekend, and every bench had orange tape around it.
Yeah,
like, you can't sit down on the bench. Yeah. So it's like you can sit in the middle of a grassy field. That's about it, But like you can't go in the playground. So yeah, it's really kind of a perfect storm. It's like really, literally. I mean, it's not as bad as like Italy or France, like being literally stuck and cannot leave whatsoever. So I'm so glad we don't have that. At least we can go outside. And I feel very fortunate. Like, the area I live in is more suburban. I'm not in the city of San Francisco. I'm outside of San Francisco. So we're benefiting for that sense. But yeah, I mean, New York's nuts. So you're in Chicago though now?
Yeah, Chicago at the moment. Yeah, okay. I came here came back to the Midwest to quarantine and shelter and stuff, because New York got very weird. Yes. Towards the end of March, and I was finally like, I think I'm probably just gonna hightail it, because this is getting a little scary. Like, the lines around organic food shops was challenging. They closed the Jamba Juice. Restaurants and bars were closed. I don't know how New Yorkers are making I don't know how they're eating. No one in the city of New York, and no one on the island of Manhattan knows how to make a meal, period.
I know, right.
Wait, did you say they closed the Jamba Juice?
They closed the Jamba Juice.
How did I not see this on CNN? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all the great parts of New York have been removed, and all the hassles of New York are still there.
It's like it's hassle in place.
The hassle of living around a lot of people, cramped quarters, not a lot of space. You pay a lot for rent. No restaurants, no bars, no entertainment, no theater, no comedy. Great, that sounds wonderful.
No comedy. The no comedy part is hit especially hard. That was like That was rough. Lance led the charge here. He did 24 hours of he did stand up. I think before I saw anybody else do a live stream stand up, Lance did live stream stand up. It was pretty amazing.
I was ahead of the curve on that one, but they it was 20. I did a 24-hour, and it was really good quality 24-hour. Every minute of that was really entertaining. I promise you.
So, John, you mentioned something.
I love stand-up. I love comedy. I love live comedy, and my heart goes out to performers everywhere who do it for the love of it and can't do it. I can't imagine what that must feel like, to be deprived of doing something that you love. Brendon, I know you personally, love nothing more than getting out in front of a crowd. And so to be deprived of that, I only hope that it won't be too long. I hope that we'll be back together again sometime soon. And,
I'll come out to the Bay Area and do a show. You'll be the feature, John. We'll have to get you on stage.
Sounds good.
I should give you free access to my online course about how to do stand up, but we can workshop 10 minutes or something.
That sounds great.
Great. It's funny because I started working with guys who do keynote speeches, and
cool.
I was writing jokes for them and helping through. We had Jeremy Miller on this show. He's a big-time marketing guy and does all kinds of different keynote speeches. He's gearing up for this big keynote, which would have taken place a week ago. And he was like, oh, yeah, my whole schedule is just all wiped out thanks to coronavirus. He's like, what a strange... Man. I'm like, really? People are not paying you to do Zoom keynotes? What a wild time. You said something earlier I want to key in on. There are actually, you mentioned you're parents who are we don't want a screen in front of our child. Are there really parents in the Bay Area who are our children will not see screens? Not going to see them until a certain age?
Yeah, I'm sure there are. It comes up, or people, more likely people are trying to limit their exposure. I feel sad. I feel bad for, there's someone out there who's a pediatrician who's dedicated their entire life to research and doing studies to prove the detrimental effects of screens on children. And then the coronavirus hits and it's God damn it.
There goes,
Jesus.
they're trying to convince their control group not to
they've been 20 years they've been working on this, and all of a sudden it's God, friggin' Wuhan, what the heck?
It's taking everything.
I know, seriously. I feel bad for that poor sap. But I'm sure there are parents like that want to limit exposure.
I feel like I'm gonna actually be one of them. I think my kids. I feel strange because I feel like my kids. I might raise them Amish. I won't be Amish.
Well, because of the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This beard comes with its own religious denomination. This has really been an act of omitment, John. So the last time you and I saw each other was about 9 months, almost a year ago, actually, 11 months ago.
Chicago. Yeah. Yeah.
At IRCE in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I was clean shaven, I think.
No, you had a little beard then, I think. Yeah. I think a little light beard or something like that.
That was a fun time. What you guys are doing, you and Jeremy doing at Rise 25, that was a fun thing. You guys have a lot of growth going on at the company, I think, right now, despite...
Well, we're fortunate in that, you've been to our events. We've done events, but fortunately 2 years ago we decided to do fewer events, in part because I just keep having children, and, up to 4 now. And so I'm done
technically
now.
Your wife keeps having them.
Right. So technically, so anyway, we were we can't have too many events. So we kind of got off the event gravy train. Fortunately, about 2 years ago, but we would have been really screwed if this had happened 2 years ago.
Yikes! Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but it's so it's crazy. These are crazy times. We're gonna look back and we're gonna be like, Jesus, that was nuts. How did we survive that?
It's so strange. I think about this, that the last time anything like this happened was literally 100 years ago. And it's so bizarre to think about that. My grandfather lived his whole life. He's born in 1930, lived his entire life. He died just the fall of last year, passed away. Long life, great guy. And then, like, he never in this whole life
missed the fun.
He missed all the fun.
He's deprived of all the fun, exactly.
So, like,
yes, and he also didn't see your beard either.
No, yeah, he would. Let me tell you, I didn't even know I can grow a beard. And if you look closely, you can tell I can't grow a beard.
There are some it's like your face forgot that, we're supposed to grow here too, or something like that. Yeah. The missing spots.
Yeah, this is where this is how I know that laziness is encoded in my genes, is because even the beard didn't want to try.
Yeah, exactly. No, so let me ask you a question. So, Lance, I was looking you up beforehand. Are you also a pilot?
Oh, yeah, I am, actually. Yeah.
That's reassuring. So you're a comic and you're you're a comic and you're a pilot too?
Right, I am.
Okay.
You did your research. That's impressive.
Yeah.
What cued you off on that? Because I don't think it's on my profile. Did you see a picture or something?
It's on your LinkedIn profile, actually.
Oh, yeah. LinkedIn. Yeah. Okay. I didn't realize that was on there, but yes, I am.
That's interesting. That's kind of two very extremes of personality, right? You know, your standard comedian are a little bit more like Brendon over here with hasn't shaved in 3 months,
right?
Versus the pilot is following the checklist and very diligent. And,
right.
That's why he's such a good joke writer. But the thing that you fail to appreciate, John, is that when Lance picks up that microphone, he has an audience that cannot leave.
That's a good idea.
Just like an airplane. Once you have that audience, they're there for the long haul.
Exactly.
No, but it's just that I'm a private pilot, so I can't accept money, which is very much like comedy. I cannot accept money, so don't even try to give me any.
Please do not. Exactly. That's funny.
We got to before you go. I was going to ask you about speech writing. How'd you get into that? I know you've been on Brendon's podcast before. Is that right?
Technically, I was on John's podcast or John's live stream.
I've interviewed Brendon before, and I don't know. We've chatted a bunch of times, so I don't know. Maybe I've been on his podcast. But speech writing. It was in college. My college had an internship program in Washington D.C. where you apply to do an internship, and then you separately apply to Capitol Hill or the White House or one of the agencies or something like that. And I applied, and I got an internship in the White House speechwriting office in the Clinton years.
Wow.
And And so I did that for a semester. It was actually, I'm dating myself now, but it was right before the Lewinsky scandal happened. And so, I was high on life, and I go back to college, and I'm senior year, and I'm like, the world is my oyster. Because I have got top of line of my resume is White House intern. There's nothing I cannot accomplish. And then boom, it's like Lewinsky scandal. It's like, God damn it. So, but the funny thing was then, after that, I graduated from college, and I was before I went to go work back at the White House. I was working, and I was applied for jobs and stuff like you do when you graduate from college.
Right.
And people called me into interviews all the time. I think because they all just wanted to ask, what was it like being a White House intern? Right. Literally, it's just like, wow, this would be an interesting one to talk to this guy. So I actually got called into a lot of interviews. But then I ended up going back to the White House, and I was a writer in presidential letters and messages. It's kind of like a second-tier speechwriter. I'm writing the president's words, but in video scripts and proclamations, messages, and things like that.
Now it would be his Twitter tweets.
Tweeting for him, exactly, right. Yeah.
So did he ever say anything famous that you were kind of had your hand in on, or did he riff a lot, or did he kind of stick to the script, or is that a normal thing that they do? It seems like Trump riffs a good bit.
I don't think he's read a single thing that anyone's written down in front of him. It's actually it's a fascinating thing to have the script in front of you and to watch a president deliver a speech. Clinton was famous for riffing, for going off script.
Really? Interesting. Okay.
Extensively, but what was amazing is he also had the ability to read through the script, read through the speech, the remarks, and internalize pieces of it and come back to it. So he'd get back to different pieces of it. There's a famous story about Clinton in 93 or 94. He had come to the Capitol. This is a long time. This is 25 years ago now, right? And so like the technology wasn't very advanced. And he goes right after he became president, he delivered a speech to Congress, and it was like an economic speech. And then like I forget, it was like 3 or 6 months later, he came back to deliver another speech. It was like the State of the Union, and he was a kind of a procrastinator. He'd be doing everything up until the last minute. So they were like changing the speech up until the very last minute, to the point where they were coming to the Capitol with the speech on a floppy disk that they need to put into the teleprompter. Boy. And so they go down and they rush, and he's like coming down, shaking hands, applauding. They're introducing him, and his staffers, George Stephanopoulos and some others, are like loading this thing into the teleprompter. And they go and they load it up, and it comes up, and he goes to give this speech, and he looks up, and it's the speech it's the last speech. Is the wrong one is showing up on the teleprompter. So he goes over and he whispers to Al Gore sitting behind him. When the president's there, it's the speaker and it's the vice president. So he whispers to Al Gore and he says, it's the wrong speech. And then Al Gore says, oh, crap. So he goes over to the side and he calls over George Stephanopoulos and says, it's the wrong speech. And Stephanopoulos has to go and like fix it, like load the right speech. So what are you going to do, right? Live camera audience and everything. You can't not deliver the speech. So he starts to deliver the speech, and he goes and he just gives the speech from memory. And It was like 15 or 20 minutes in. Then they're loading the other speech. And if you're looking at the teleprompter, it's flying by as they're trying to catch up to the point where he should be. Yeah. Where he should be. And then it gets to that point, and then he catches on, and then he delivers the rest of the speech from the teleprompter from that point going forward.
This is like unbelievable, because Lance, how many times have you been on stage? Because I've been on stage before where I've been in a bit, and then for some reason something happens in the room and I forget where I'm at. Like, maybe you riff with somebody in the crowd, and then like after a couple minutes you're like, I don't even remember where I am anymore. Right. And that's when you do stuff like Clinton can't be up in front of Congress like, where are you from? What do you do?
Hello, little lady.
Are you here with a bachelorette party?
Right.
Yeah, that's
really impressive.
Yeah. So I wrote a joke for. Don't ask me what the joke is, but I wrote a joke that he read in the East Room of the White House at an event while I was an intern that ended up in I think it was in USA Today. And so I wrote some remarks then, and then other things. There's how much time do we have? I can tell my story about how
we got 20 more minutes, whatever you want to do. Andrew Lawson wants to know, what was it like to go to work at the White House? Like, what was it like to actually go to work at the White House? Which I would also love to hear. But wherever you're headed, man, let's just go there with you.
Yeah, so I'll tell if we have time.
My cousin Dustin is like, "What's the joke?"
Exactly. It wasn't even a good joke. I mean, I hate telling people that it was like a athletic event. It was like the NCAA champion basketball team or something, and it was some joke about that. But anyways, I will tell about how I was a partial inspiration for Rob Lowe's character on The West Wing.
Oh my God! Yes.
First,
okay. Yeah.
Before we
I
get to
hear
that,
this.
Tease that one first. But what was it like going to work at the White House? This was before 9/11, so things probably changed pretty dramatically after that. But it was still obviously high security. It was crazy, I mean, it was amazing. It was an honor to walk into that building every day, to see smart people around you, to walk past governors and movie stars and celebrities, to have an impact on people's work, to be able to pick up the phone and call literally everyone. I mean, anyone, literally anyone, almost anyone. Like you call and you say you're calling from the White House, people call you back immediately, which is pretty cool.
I should just start saying that anyway. I'm calling from a White House, and people call back and go, "Did you say you're calling from the White House?" No, I'm sorry. I said I'm calling from a White House.
That's what I've been trying ever since. But yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, there were mundane times just like anything else, or there were other times where like I'd be working away, writing something, and then I would get up to go to the bathroom or something, go to the bathroom, and I walk in the hallway, and there's like the president having a heated conversation, not in front of television cameras or anything, with like the premier or president of China, like with 50 security people, some from the United States, some from China, all standing around waiting for them to finish their heated, passionate discussion. Wow. And then meanwhile, the Secret Service guys are like, "Sorry, sir, you can't go to that restroom right now. You're going to have to wait." And I'm just like, okay. I gotta go. This is really interesting. Gotta go. So it's like weird juxtaposition of like bizarre, like, stuff you see nowhere. You don't see other places, and, mundane daily life,
That's actually, it's interesting because did we talk about this when I used to work for the State Department at the U.S. Embassy in Paris? Yeah. And it was a similar kind of, I worked there when George W. Bush came over, and it was a very similar, strange kind of like, you're just in normal life until for some reason you're very much not. And you're like, oh, I just passed the president of France in the hallway. And now I have to go deliver this box to a room full of 10 Secret Service agents because the president's right there in the corner. And like, you just, bye everybody. And then you like, just fuck out. It's so weird. I've never felt more, even when I've been an extra in a movie, I've never felt more like an extra.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, it's also historic. I mean, there's the Rose Garden, and there's the Oval Office, and there's, the Cabinet Room, and there's the press briefing room, and there's the South Lawn, and going to events on the South Lawn was amazing, and watching on the 4th of July, going and watching the fireworks from the South Lawn was amazing. Going to the Easter egg roll on the South Lawn was amazing. All of these things are, just an amazing, wonderful experience. Having my family visit and getting them to see it was really, really cool. We at the end of the administration, I got to bring my family down, and we watched the president tape the radio address in the Oval Office, and got a picture with him, and had to have got a conversation with him. With my family there. So yeah, it was an incredible privilege to do it. And I'm glad that I did. I started at $24,000 a year. So you thought comedy didn't pay very much, but there's a lot of people that want to have
$24,000. If I made $24,000 doing comedy, I would retire. John. Yeah. I love that my UK family is like, this is really fascinating.
So yeah, I mean, you don't make very much. So that kind of gets old after a little while, and eventually you want to kind of move on and do other things. And Washington D.C. is a tough place to live because it is filled with a lot of transient people. No one's really from there. It doesn't really have a sense of place, So I was kind of aching to come back to California, which is where I'm from eventually. And the weird thing was that at the time, the whole dot-com boom was going on, and all my friends from college had gone to San Francisco and were working for exciting tech companies and stuff. So I kind of felt like that was where the excitement was at some of the times when I was in politics.
Well, especially during that period of time. Yeah, I could really see that. And like, it's fascinating, John, because there's two other things I want to talk to you about. One is that so stand-up comedy is not too foreign to you because your dad did comedy, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm the son of a stand-up comic. Yeah, my dad, he even wrote jokes for Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back, Kotter. He bought jokes from him, and he performed in clubs at the same time as Jay Leno and probably Seinfeld. Like he was went to all the New York clubs back in the 70s. Like it was like the mid to late 70s and stuff.
That's crazy, man. And it's just it's so fascinating to me that was like the heyday of comedy also. Like
it was in retrospect, yeah, exactly. You just watch comedians in cars getting coffee, and like every single comic that's still alive from that era has been on that show.
Oh yeah. Your dad probably knew a bunch of them, man. Probably
he did
a whole bunch of that stuff. I think about that sometimes. It's funny how the world of comedy works because you just get exposure to so many different people who end up in different places and stuff like this. But How come from speech writing and getting? I know I've asked you this question more than one time, but how come you've never gotten on stage and told a whole bunch of jokes, man?
I know this is a running conversation between Brendon and I. The funny thing is, my dad, he kind of had to give it up. He was living in Washington D.C. at the time and working in TV actually, and as a TV news reporter and a journalist, and I think he had me, and then that kind of like put the hammer and the nail in the coffin, so to speak, for his stand-up comedy career, because it's just hard to do that with a young kid, you know, and. That's been my excuse, anyways. That's the one I'm kicking by.
Yeah,
I prefer.
But also, how much great material? You know what I mean? You got. I mean, just the teacup joke that you can have that one for free. The teacup joke.
I appreciate that. No, I love comedy. I appreciate it, and maybe one of these days I'll get on stage and actually do it.
I would love it if you did, man. What do you? So let's talk about this real quick. You have a number of irons in the fire. Something that I appreciate about you is that you're a great social connector. You're really good at connecting people, talking with people, getting them to meet each other. I think it's obviously it's a core strength of yours. You're a really good writer, and but amongst those things, you're also really good at leveraging those things into kind of different business things that you're doing. One of which is podcasting, which I think is really cool. And if you want to talk a little bit about what you are doing kind of in that circumstance, like with Rise 25 or any of the other things that you're involved with, I think it would be really cool to hear about that for a minute.
Cool. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of podcasting. I've been doing it since around 2011. At the time, I was practicing law, and I had a good client who came to me, and I was like, hey, you're really interesting. He started businesses that have gone public. I was like, can I have 20 minutes of your time? I'd love to interview you, record it, publish it on the web. I didn't even know how to do any of those things. And I ended up doing that, and he ended up hiring me for more legal work. So I was like, all right, well, I'm no dummy. I'm going to keep on doing this. 500 interviews later, I've just continued doing it. And so it's funny what you say, I mean, I do enjoy connecting people. I love introducing people. And so kind of what we do now is we help others to leverage that same strategy. So using a podcast as a tool for broadening your network, connecting with referral partners, strategic partners, clients, and that sort of thing. And that's what we do at Rise 25, specifically for B2B businesses, because that's where you can really get good results out of it. So less so much as an entertainment platform, but really as a multifunction tool for all these different things that I mentioned: business development, client acquisition, all that kind of stuff.
Content marketing, connecting with people at a high level, sales development, lots of
all
those
that
things.
Exactly, all that stuff. It's a great tool for all those different pieces.
Well, you're the one who inspired me to start a podcast, and
nice.
And it's funny, John, how well that's worked out, because I've interviewed some really amazing people, philosophers, thinkers, economists, the CMOs and CEOs of different companies, artists, all kinds of stuff. And then I started this with even Lancey Joe I could get on this show. So,
yeah, it's great. I love seeing it. I love seeing people doing it and enjoying it, and I think it's a great thing. And I hope that more people do it. I mean, I've been doing it for about 10 years, and for the first 8 years, I told everyone who would listen, you should start a podcast. And then only for the last 2 years have I had a self-interest in that, and even then just for really B2B businesses. But I still tell everyone, we can only help so many businesses directly. But beyond that, I'm an evangelist for the medium, and I constantly do interviews like this where I tell people about how they can leverage it, how they can utilize it. Because I think a lot of times people think very myopically when it comes to a podcast. They think of it as just content marketing, or they think of just like one limited use for it, when it's actually a multifunction tool. There are many different ways you can leverage it, and so I just try and get people to see the vision beyond that.
Well, if people want to discover more about what you have to share in terms of how valuable it is and learn more from you, or just follow you for any reason, like where should they go from here if they're watching?
Sure, but I do want to mention the Rob Lowe story if we want to.
Yeah, dude,
I don't want to leave
people.
I don't want to leave people hanging.
Yeah,
so
please.
Rise 25 or rise25media.com. You can check me out there. But yeah, I did tease it, so I figured I should mention it anyways. But when I went to go work at the White House, it was 99. And at the time, I had actually come from working for DreamWorks in Los Angeles. So I knew people in the entertainment industry. And one of them connected with me, and she said that she knew this guy who was working on a pilot that was going to be on the air in the fall that was about politics in Washington, D.C., and wanted to know if I would connect with the person who was working on that. And so I did, and I gave that person some advice on what it was like, what my job was like, that sort of thing. Well, it turns out it was Aaron Sorkin, who was working on The West Wing. He'd already done The American President.
Yeah.
He'd already done The American President, so I knew who he was. And he was just like kind of like getting general advice on what my life was like. And it wasn't that I didn't have like high level security clearance and it wasn't that crazy, So I just kind of told him what it was like. And so it ends up going on the air and is a huge hit, like right off the bat. And he's got like all kinds of big former West Wing staffers that are advising him now. He doesn't have much need for me anymore. But the fall of 99, I wrote the Thanksgiving Proclamation, which is a historic document that no one pays attention to now. But, George Washington wrote it, probably with a quill pen by himself, not by a staffer. Abraham Lincoln wrote it. It was credited with unifying the country. And I wrote this thing in 99. I was really proud of it. But, you can imagine the pressure, right? So much pressure putting this thing together. And they actually printed on this big parchment paper. And so I got one of these and I put it in the mail and I mailed it off to Aaron Sorkin, and I didn't hear anything of it, like nothing. A year later, though, in November, I turn on The West Wing and they have their Thanksgiving episode on there. And the whole episode is about the writing of the Thanksgiving Proclamation.
I remember that episode.
It's a great episode. And they're running around, of course, like running through the halls and all that.
There's a whole thing about pardoning the turkey and like all that. I remember that episode.
Exactly right. There's parting the turkey, and he's going to go out into at the very end. Jeb Bartlett, the Martin Sheen character, is about to go out into the Rose Garden to pardon the turkey and also read this Thanksgiving Proclamation. And it's like the climactic scene from the entire thing in the Oval Office. And he looks down and he reads the first line of the proclamation, which is right in front of him. And when he reads that line, it's the exact same first line from the proclamation that I wrote, the exact same word for word.
Wow.
Following the White House tradition of proclaiming a national day of Thanksgiving.
Right, exactly. And of course, the actor who was playing the speechwriter who was writing that proclamation in that episode was Rob Lowe. So I like to say that I was a partial inspiration for Rob Lowe's character on The West Wing.
What? I mean, that's pretty cool, man.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So, I mean, I didn't tell that story for a long time, but then I realized that I should tell it, one, because it's interesting, and two, because I could have gotten in a lot of trouble for having done that, because the press office likes everything to go through them. But ultimately, what I think that I did there was I was just being generous. I gave my time and I shared a little bit about what my day-to-day routine was like. And it ended up yielding something pretty cool. The West Wing is an amazing television show, amazing entertainment. I hear to this day people telling me about going back and watching old episodes and stuff like that. And so I think it's really cool that he was able to take what little information he gleaned from my experience of my job and then use it to create, really an enduring piece of entertainment that people still appreciate to this day.
I mean, that's really cool that you were even.
Really cool.
It's just like it's amazing how many things you've touched like over your time, man. White House, entertainment, what I mean.
Thanks.
Not to mention
man.
Your kids and all the stuff they're gonna do. Screen swiping and
if they ever get off screens.
Playing.
Yeah. Your 4-year-old's probably on The West Wing right now. He might be on that episode.
I think he's binge watched the entire 10 seasons or whatever on Netflix. Yeah, I pretty much made it through all of them. Between Paw Patrol and Dino Dana.
Oh man! Well, thank you so much for being on the Happiest Hour, John.
My pleasure.
Where can people, if they want to finish this out, where can people follow you?
Yeah, they can check me out at rise25.com. Email me at rise25media.com, John at rise25media.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn. And love hearing from people. So
yeah, and he really does. And I appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. It's always wonderful. I enjoy talking with you every time. Honestly, you've been such a great positive presence in my life, and so many things have come from the ideas you've given me. I would encourage everybody to check out Rise 25 and go take a look. And I need to connect you with a couple of people. I just realized on this episode of you talking, there's 2 people who I need to connect you with. So
Great.
I will do that. I shouldn't mention it on there, but take it easy, man. Be well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, gents.
Stay
Thanks,
healthy.
guys.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Oh, man. Johnny Corcoran. Johnny C. The Corcoros.
Very interesting.
What a fascinating guy. Isn't he so much
really
fun
good.
to talk to?
Really cool.
He's so much fun to talk to. And he's legitimately like, I feel lucky because there's a couple of different things. He's given me a lot of his time. And he's been such an influence on me in a really positive way. I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for him. And also for you, I should say, Lance. I wouldn't be doing this.
I inspired you.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Wait, Brendon, didn't you? I thought I inspired this. What is this other?
Yeah, but I don't think I'd be
talk?
doing this if I didn't do my podcast, and he's the one who got that going. I talked with him going up to the first time I did Edinburgh, and he was like, "You should just do the podcast, dude. Just do it." And so I was like, "All right, yeah, I'll do it." And then like that led to this, and that led to a whole bunch of other stuff.
No, I can see that. Yeah, I was just playing around, but I could see how he would be very inspirational. But I'm probably after talking to him, I'm probably moving to Washington D.C. I hear that.
Well, you can hang out with Joy and Ashton. That's where they are.
Yeah, staff writers are making $25,000 a year.
Yeah, $24,000 a year. I'm like, wait, what?
Holy crap! What are they, professional athletes?
Does that come with health benefits and a 401k?
Yeah, but no free drinks though. No free drink.
Yeah, you don't get any drink tickets though. Don't think that you get any drink tickets.
You should have seen the look on my landlord's face when I paid him in drink tickets. Like, these don't even make sense. What is this? This is an admit one ticket.
Oh,
I'm like, that's good for a free drink.
This is so. What's I should say before we wrap up here, we had a lot of watchers on this episode, by the way. We had a whole lot up to, breaking well beyond double digits.
Hell yeah.
We had some UK fans, some Icelandic fans. Ali Arani said he joined the episode, or enjoyed the episode. Pardon me. Andrew Lawson was watching. We gotta come back tomorrow. We're gonna have Pete Weishaupt is gonna be on, the guy who supplies my lovely beard balm. I had to keep the beard at least as long as I had him on the episode. You know what I mean? Pete Weishaupt is gonna be on. You and I are gonna be going back and forth. What's going on the Lancey Joe on Venmo show tonight?
They were having Bob Rock. Bob Rock is going to be on.
Oh shit! So it's really coming around. You don't BS, man. You get an audience member that's interesting. It's gonna be it's gonna be on the show, man.
He's a great comedian. So I'm excited just to have him on the phone, even if it was just him and I talking. So it'll be great to have him.
We got one more surprise in this episode though. Before we wrap up, I'm gonna do it here in a moment, but I'm gonna be adding somebody, if he's still available, that is, who had wanted to make an announcement.
Uh-oh.
Hey, this dude better pick up, man.
Is it Dylan? Yeah.
It's Dylan. You better believe it's Dylan Scott. He's jumping
Wait,
on
what
here.
up? Why am I only on speaker?
I have no idea why you're only on audio, buddy.
Hit the camera.
Yeah, hit the camera button.
Why'd you call me on my phone?
I think because you answered on your phone.
All right, hang on. Will you call me back in like a second?
Yeah, right. I'll call you back in a second.
Well,
the surprise is ruined for this audience now.
Y'all, forget what you just heard. Forget it. Some people say he's the best guest.
Some people
are saying this. People are saying this.
Some people say he's a good guest. I love every time Trump is on the microphone. It's like he's trying to describe the waves he saw. Hey Trump, what did the bioluminescent waves look like?
Did I tell you about that? I saw a GIF or an emoji. What was it? Not an emoji, a GIF where they put a little cartoon harmonica in between his hands, or not harmonica, whatever that thing's called. There he is.
There he is. Hey, there he is. Dylan Scott. Here we go.
My computer is super lagged. You were still talking to John when you called.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's the. Well, Dylan, we're wrapping up here, man. But we wanted to have you on. First of all, great facial hair. I feel I somehow feel like it's always been on your face.
I mean, I can't keep up with a beard like yours, Lemon. So I need to branch out on my own and spread my wings and fly. So, Brendon, I need your address. I'm sending you something. I made you something, and I'm sending it to you.
All right, I'm gonna message you it right after the show.
Okay, cool.
I can't give it out live because all of my enemies are watching.
Yes.
They keep a pretty strict pretty strict lockdown on me. All right,
yeah.
What do you got going on, Dylan?
Not much, man. So I just spent the past 3 hours live drawing and eating hot peppers, like hot chili peppers, because I'm trying to get people to like a video that I submitted to the Lincoln Lodge video contest.
All right.
We're in third place right now with our video, and we're trying to get $250.
All right. How do we like it? Where do we go to like it?
I'll put a link in your thing real quick, but yeah, no, that's like, so I'm like real gassy right now because I ate like just like a thing of peppers, and now I'm kind of like all sinusy. So this is a cool time to talk to people.
This is, you don't fool around, dude. That's full. That's all. This is what I love about this episode. We have John Corcoran, speechwriter for Bill Clinton, who writes a historic Thanksgiving address, and now you're like, I'm really gassy. I eat a lot of peppers.
I don't know what you're expecting, Lemon.
I knew what I was getting into by having you on here, buddy.
Right. I just posted it in your thing, but I'm saying
Lincoln Lodge's stay home contest. Got it.
Yeah. So if and I'm doing a thing right now where I'm drawing. You see the drawings and stuff behind me.
Yep.
If people draw or if people vote tonight and give me their address, I'm making personalized pictures for them. So here's what I just made for somebody. It's alien anarchist.
Woo.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So if people want a personalized drawing by a middling comic that they don't know, I will mail them, and they want to give a stranger their address because it's quarantine, so who gives a fuck?
Well, I just voted for it while we were on. I just voted for your video.
I got it up here. How do you vote? Oh, you just vote on this one?
You just put in your email address. And then you can vote once every 24 hours. You can vote. So like, if I'll bug you about it again tomorrow. So, but Lemon, just because you voted, I'm gonna send. I had already made you something because your wall looks a little bare back there.
Yeah, you could throw it. We'll put it. I'll put it. Other direction. I'll put it right here.
Yeah, I made you some branding. I was inspired by your last guest about branding. So
yeah, I can't wait to get it, man. I'll put it back up there.
Cool.
How big of a dick is it?
Oh, me about 9 inches.
I can tell you why you look so good with this facial hair. It's the Oklahoma we always knew was there.
Yo, hang on. Lancey and I are about to go tubing on the river. So.
Oh, we go for a wicked float. You should come. That's why you guys need to visit Michigan. We go tubing all the time down rivers in Michigan.
I don't know. It sounds cold, and I hear that their governor's a Nazi. So I don't know about that.
Well, what else would you expect from the Louisiana of the North? Well, buddy, it's great to have you on. We got to wrap. I got to run to go grab some dinner.
Just send me your address later, and I'll bug you guys again tomorrow.
I will do. Take it easy, Dylan.
Toodles.
All right, good to see you, Dylan.
Oh, buddy. All right, Dylan Scott, friend of the show. This has been a fun episode. We've been all over the place.
We've done it all.
We've done it all on this episode, and you've been here with us the whole time. My family in the UK, Ali, Anna Bastani, who also shared Dylan's link on the thing. Andrew Lawson, greatest fan of the show, as well as we had a lot of people watching this episode.
I want to shout out to my UK family, University of Kentucky. What up? Go Wildcats!
And of course, Tristan A. Smith, who liked this whole dealio. Ernest Sophia, our friend in Iceland. And my cousin Dustin Music, who's all watching. Also Gia Liu, who's you guys are just great. I gotta tell you, this has been awesome, and it's been wonderful to have you here with us.
Brendon's now doing more shout outs than Master P.
Yeah.
He did a whole song of shout outs.
224, that dude down the block.
Southport, Louisiana, how you do that there?
There's like somebody put a beat behind me while I do this. It's so great. So anyway, it's been great. And also our guest of the show, John Corcoran. Great episode. Come back tomorrow. See us talking to Pete Weishaupt. And, of course, one another. Lancey Joe will be live while he's landing a plane in Midway Airport. Everybody take it easy and be well. Thanks so much. Take care, Lance. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Mm-hmm.